It's my pleasure to introduce the next speaker. That's Mirco Barbero. He is the team leader for soil protection and sustainable land use at DG Environment, and he will tell us more about the policy and research context. Now, I should mention before we start the presentation that there will not be a question and answer session after Mirco's presentation, but you can ask your questions in the Ask a Question function, which is at the bottom of your screen. And then Mirco will address these questions during the panel session this afternoon. So, thank you, and Mirco, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So I'm Mirco Barbero, Policy Officer and Team Leader of the Soil Team for Soil Protection and Sustainable Land Use, indeed in the European Commission Director General Environment. Thank you for inviting me. I'm glad to present the context where SoilCare is delivering results. The policy context on soil in the EU, because there have been many changes recently with the European Green Deal ambition that has a major impact on the soil policy. So I will go through the different elements and present also the ongoing work which will become concrete in the soil strategy. Now I will try to, okay. So we have in front of us a major ecological crisis which call for action, specific action on climate, on biodiversity, scarcity of resources and pollution. That's where the European Green Deal comes with a series of initiatives, and soil is very relevant for several of them. Well, soil could be part of the problem actually when it's not managed sustainably and when it's polluted, when it's degraded. But if used sustainably, then it can be a big part of the solution. Think only to climate mitigation, but also for pollution, for protecting nature and biodiversity, for the sustainability of the food systems. So we will go through the existing initiatives and see what are the implications for soil, what they mean for soil, how soil should contribute to these big challenges. This is what the Green Deal has already delivered. So it started in the December 2019, and in May last year, we had the adoption at the same day of the Farm to Fork and the Biodiversity Strategy, where there are several elements which are very relevant for soil. And then you see other initiatives that are relevant. I would mention the most recent one, the Zero Pollution Action Plan for Air, Water and Soil, where we find clear new actions for soil. And there is one upcoming, which is related to climate mitigation, namely the revision of the LULUCF regulation. So the land use change and forestry, which will be also surely relevant for soil. Let's go through some of them and see what's in it for soil. In the EU Biodiversity Strategy, there is the ambition set by 2050, all of the world's ecosystems are restored, resilient, and adequately protected. Soil is an ecosystem. So this means for soil, by 2050, we expect to have degraded soil restored and have healthy soils in the EU. Within the Farm to Fork strategy, as I said, soil is a an essential element in the environmental sustainability, but also, as the project shows, it's essential, the social as well, and economic sustainability. Then I would say, yes, we go through the zero pollution vision for 2050, which also means for soil that by 2050, soil pollution is reduced to levels no longer considered harmful to health and natural ecosystems. This is clearly a new vision that applies also for soil. If we go one level deeper and we focus on the commitments already set in the biodiversity strategy concerning soil, we see that it's written there, it is essential to step up efforts to protect soil fertility, reduce soil erosion, and increase soil organic matter. And this should be done by adopting sustainable soil management practices. So sustainable soil management should become the new normal, or including as part of the CAP. And also significant progress should be achieved and is needed on identifying contaminated soil sites, restoring degraded soils, defining the conditions for their good ecological status. So what we mean exactly by healthy soils, introducing restoration objectives, and improving the monitoring of soil quality. Here you see the relevance of SoilCare project when we speak about sustainable soil management practices and restoring degraded soils. Okay. Maybe just let's stop a moment to say, okay, why do we need and do we want healthy soils? Is it just because we are we take care of soil, we like soils, and we want them to be healthy at whatever cost? No, actually, soils provide ecosystem services to humans, both at local and global level. For example, food and other biomass production, including in agriculture and forestry, which means not only food from agriculture, but also wild food for humans and for wildlife. Soil is storing, retaining, filtering, and transforming nutrients, different substances, and water, and is essential to replenish bodies of groundwater. Soil is basis for life and biodiversity. It's also a physical platform for human activities and source of raw materials. Obviously, when we exploit these ecosystem services, other ecosystem services may be reduced or even lost. And then soil is a carbon pool, which is key for climate mitigation, as we said, but also important for climate adaptation. And so in summary, healthy soils provides those ecosystem services to us, while degradation means that we are losing or reducing those. That's why we need soil protection, sustainable soil management, and restoration of degraded soils. But then now the question comes, how to do that? How the European level can contribute and lead to achieve this ambition. Indeed, the update of the soil strategy, there will be a new soil strategy in 2021, which will have to address comprehensively the soil issues. The Zero Pollution Action Plan, as said, is addressing some soil contamination issues. There is mentioned in the biodiversity strategy also the strategy for a sustainable built environment, for the rehabilitation of contaminated brownfields. And as already mentioned, there is a proposal for a mission in the area of soil health and food under the research program Horizon Europe, that aims to develop solutions for restoring soil health and functions. The decision for the adoption will be taken quite soon, so we will know. And in general, there is the need for research to produce new knowledge where there are gaps, and to exploit the current knowledge to reach solutions, to propose solutions for the policy level on which to build and to scale up to reach our objectives, actually. So these are some of the initiatives, and there is also in the pipeline a legally binding EU nature restoration target that is due by this year. This new legislation will identify also the conditions in which the targets that will be set must be met, the measures to reach them, and the impact assessment, which is ongoing, is also looking at the possibility of a methodology to map, assess, and achieve good condition of ecosystems. Then there is the new LULUCF regulation coming also, which will provide an answer and means for our objectives. This is how the soil strategy intends to address those commitments. What you see here is extracted from the roadmap that was made public at the end of last year. So you see the different elements where the strategy intends to contribute, like stepping up efforts to protect soil fertility, protect and enhance soil biodiversity, and doing this with the promotion of the adoption of sustainable soil management practices and other elements. Now, the work is ongoing. We are working on that based also on the feedback that we have received through the consultation on the roadmap, as I said, end of last year. The open public consultation, where we got more than 1,000 replies, and it closed in end of April. But the strategy will build also on a series of dialogue with the stakeholders. We had several conferences in the past few years, and also regular exchanges with the expert group on soil protection. At the moment, the adoption is foreseen in October this year. So we are working on it to provide for a key deliverable. But for the implementation will just start at that moment, and there we will need for sure and call for the contributions and the efforts of everybody at all levels. And so also the contribution of SoilCare will be important to achieve actually the main aim, which is healthy soils. I would stop here. I hope it was clear enough. And listening to the next presentations. Thank you.